6 million pages. That's how many pages of material the Department of Justice told us it collected on Jeffrey Epstein. 6 million. Now ask yourself this, how many of those pages actually made it to the public? 3 million. Half, and the DOJ wants you to believe that's just fine. They're telling reporters, point blank, that they've released every document required by the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Required? That word's doing a lot of work in that sentence, isn't it? Because required and complete are not the same thing, and somebody at the Justice Department knows that difference better than anyone. Here's the thing this law didn't get written. Because Congress was bored. The Epstein Files Transparency Act exists because survivors, advocates, and lawmakers from both parties spent years getting stonewalled. Democrat Ro Khanna and Republican Thomas Massie, two guys who agree on almost nothing else, came together to push this thing through. The deal was simple. Epstein's dead. Maxwell's locked up. Release the files. Let the public see what happened. No more games. So what happened instead? The DOJ collected 6 million pages, handed over 3, and told everybody the other half is just duplicates, irrelevant material, or covered by legal privilege. Convenient, right? You collect millions of pages investigating one of the most connected predators in modern American history, and somehow exactly half of it just happens to not matter. CBS News didn't take that explanation at face value. They went through what actually got released and started cataloging what's missing. And once you hear this list, you tell me if it sounds like duplicates and unrelated paperwork. Most of Epstein's emails from his older accounts? Not in the release. Email attachments? Missing. Any record at all of his Signal communications? Nothing. Massage scheduling records the kind of records that were central to how Epstein operated his whole abuse network. Those stop showing up after 2009, like the trail just goes cold right when it should be getting hot. Prison surveillance footage from before his death? Missing. Documents from the DIA's own investigation into Epstein? Missing too. And let's be real, these aren't random categories. These are exactly the kinds of records you'd want if you were trying to find out who else was involved, who knew what, and when they knew it. On top of that, there are redactions in the files that nobody can explain. Names of public figures blacked out with no justification given. Even though the law itself says every single redaction needs a written justification, filed with Congress and published in the Federal Register. That's not a suggestion. That's the actual text of the law. And it's apparently being ignored. Don't take my word for how serious this is. The Government Accountability Office is now opening its own investigation into how these documents got redacted. Members of Congress requested that. The DOJ's own Inspector General opened a separate review months ago because the department blew through its legal deadline to release everything within 30 days of the law passing. They missed their own deadline, and now they're missing pages too. And it's not just outside watchdogs raising the alarm. Congresswoman Laura Friedman, who helped write this law, personally went to DOJ headquarters to review files the department had told Congress were unredacted. She found hundreds of pages still completely blacked out. Hundreds, after being told they weren't. That's not a clerical error. That's the Justice Department telling Congress one thing and showing Congress something else. Here's Robert Garcia, the top Democrat on House Oversight, putting it about as plainly as you can. If there are duplicates in those other 3 million pages, fine. Let's see them. Let's actually look. Because right now, nobody outside the DOJ knows what's in there. We're just being told to trust the people who already missed their legal deadline and got caught with unexplained redactions. And here's where this gets even messier. The law only covers DOJ records. That means anything Epstein-related sitting with ICE, Treasury, the CIA, or other federal agencies isn't even part of this conversation. So even if the DOJ released every single page they're sitting on tomorrow, there could be entire categories of relevant material at other agencies that this law never touched in the first place. Now, to be fair, this isn't nothing. 3 million pages is still an enormous release. Names came out. Flight logs came out, including one showing the current Navy Secretary on manifests flying with Epstein in 2006. The White House points out, accurately, that this administration signed this law, cooperated with a House oversight subpoena, and pushed for further investigation. Those are real facts, and they matter. President Trump has consistently denied any wrongdoing connected to Epstein, and nothing in what's been released ties him to a crime. But we released a lot, and we released everything required by law are 2 different claims, and only one of them is actually being tested right now, by the GAO, by the Inspector General, and by reporters going line by line through what's there and what isn't. So here's the bottom line. When you pass a law specifically because the public got lied to and stonewalled for years, and then the agency in charge of following that law misses its deadline, gets caught with unexplained blackouts, and releases exactly half of what it told everyone it had, you don't get to just say trust us and move on. Not on this. Not after everything survivors have already had to fight for just to get this far. Enough is enough. This law was supposed to be the moment where the secrecy finally ended. Instead, we got half an ending. And every missing email, every blacked out name, every piece of surveillance footage that didn't make the cut leaves room for exactly the kind of doubt this law was written to kill. The people pushing for real accountability here aren't conspiracy theorists. They're members of Congress from both parties, government watchdogs, and reporters doing the actual work of comparing what was promised against what was delivered. That's not noise. That's the system working the way it's supposed to, even when the agency being checked doesn't like it. So watch this space. The GAO investigation is just getting started. The Inspector General review is still ongoing. And until somebody actually accounts for those other 3 million pages, the question isn't going away what's in them, and why does it keep taking outside pressure just to get a straight answer out of the Justice Department? If you want to stay on top of where this investigation goes next, subscribe, because this story is nowhere near finished.